So number 2, what was your childhood house, apartment, farm like? How many rooms, bathrooms? Did it have electricity, indoor plumbing, or telephones?
Well, I lived in an apartment for a while, in the third-story apartment. We had to go up 3 stories. And one winter we had a big glass window in the front, and we had a hailstorm, and the hail was as big as a baseball and broke all the windows in the front. And then we lived in a house that only had 4 rooms and 1 bathroom, and 3 girls slept in one bed and my brother in the other bed. So it was a very small house.
Well, the house I grew up in mostly was a very small house also. It had 2 bedrooms, a front room and a kitchen and a bathroom. But we had indoor plumbing, and we had electricity, and we had a telephone. So it was a pretty good old house. The most remarkable thing about the house is it didn't have a foundation. It was just the wood laid on the ground and built up from there.
What about on the farm?
Well, when we moved up to Oregon with my dad and my stepmother, we bought a small farm up there, and it had electricity, but it didn't have water inside or a bathroom. We had an outside toilet that was apart from the house, and it was what would they call them? Outside?
Outhouses.
Outhouses. That was kind of scary to use at nighttime, and we had a pump out in front of the house for water, and we had to pump water into a bucket or into whatever you wanted to use it for water. And it didn't take too long after we were there. My dad was able to get an electric motor and install it and use the well to run water into the house. And then he built a bathroom, added it onto the side of the house with a shower. And we were in pretty good shape after that. The only thing is it only had 1 small bedroom, and when we first got there, but after a while my dad built another bedroom on it, so I got the small bedroom. We were okay after that. Quite an experience though.
Number 3, describe a memorable experience you had as a child.
Well, I remember I went by myself. I was about 12 years old on the train from Chicago to California and back, all by myself. But I had a lady that was kind of crazy sitting next to me. She felt like she had to take care of me, and I made it okay all by myself. The only thing I can think of about fads was we used to wear poodle skirts. It's full skirts, like circle-sized skirts, and they had poodles embroidered on the side of it.
I think the thing that I remember most about the fads when I was a kid was everybody was into getting Levi's, and all the guys wore white t-shirts over the Levi's, and we had tennis shoes, and that's what we wore every day. Nothing else was acceptable. When and how did you meet your spouse? What did you do on dates?
We met at Chaffey Junior College in Ontario, California in 1955, 54, 55. Some of our dates, we went to weightlifting meets. He was working out with weights and using weights a lot, and we'd go to Los Angeles to weightlifting meets. Anything else to add?
No, with the movies and things.
Yeah.
What stories have been passed down to you about your parents, grandparents, and more distant ancestors? Did our ancestors ever do anything remarkable, own a business, and so forth? Shall I answer that?
Sure.
Well, the thing that's passed down to me was on my dad's side, his grandfather, my great-grandfather, who lived in Texas, and this would have been in the 1800s, was asked to defend a sheep herder at a trial, and the reason he was asked to defend him is because he was able to read and write, and so he accepted to do that, and he got the sheep herder off. And as he came out of the courthouse, he was shot and killed. And then my grandfather, his son, and his other brothers spent a long time trying to find this individual that shot and killed their dad, but they never did find him. But that was kind of like an Old West story. And then on my mother's side, her father was a high-ranking official in the Danish Navy, and he was in charge of the naval base that they had in Siam, which is now Thailand. But he was there for 7 years and became acquainted with the king of Siam, knew him. And after he retired, many years later, there was a movie made about the king of Siam. So he wanted to go see it. So my mother and I took him to the movies one afternoon to see this movie about the king of Siam. And when we went in and sat down, we got popcorn and got all comfortable, and the movie came on. And about 5 minutes later, the king of Siam came on, and my grandfather said, "Let's go. That's not the king of Siam. Let's go."
That Bible that's on the table in there is, how old is that? It must be close to 200, 150 years old.
I don't know how old it is.
It's my family Bible. It's got the names of all my ancestors from way, way back. I've got my mother's wedding dress. Gramps has a watch or not a watch, a pocket watch.
Yeah, I have a pocket watch that belonged to my grandfather, and it was passed down to me finally after, I guess my uncle got it first after my grandfather died, and then before my uncle died, he passed it down to me. And it has a picture of an old steam engine on the back of the watch. I don't know if it was a regular railroad watch or not, but it's well over 100 years old, and I kind of like it. But my grandfather always carried it in his bib overalls that he wore, and the picture that's on there is almost totally worn off, but you can barely make it out if you study it. What was it like when you proposed or were proposed to? Where and when did it happen? How did you feel?
We had dinner at Orlando's in Pomona and had a nice dinner, and I think he was too nervous to say anything when we got in the car, he slipped the ring on my finger. We were happy for it. We'd been planning to.
That's about the way I remember it, I guess.
Yeah. February 14th, 1956, Valentine's Day. That was our Valentine, 63 and a half years ago.
What was your proudest moment as a parent? It's when each of our 4 girls all obeyed the gospel and became Christians.
Amen.